All right. Thank you for joining us, Delana. I just wanted to thank everyone for coming and participating. Again, I do have to cut short this meeting at 7 o'clock because I do have another event that came up last minute. So thank you. Just going through the agenda, I have a call to order. We have our May 2021 meeting minutes to approve. Has everyone had a minute to review those? And if so, are there any edits that you would like to provide? If there are none at this time, I'd like to make a motion to approve the May meeting minutes.
I'll second.
Okay, and with that, if there's no further inputs, let's take a vote. Matt, were you at last month's meeting? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Were you gonna no or abstain, or was that a yes?
Sorry, I was trying to find the minutes to just look over it.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, you're calling the vote now?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I'll vote to approve.
Okay. All right, and then are there any does anyone want to speak up during non-agenda public comment?
I'll just make one comment, Mandy, and I think it has a little, I don't know if we're going to talk about the agenda, but it looks good and fine. I thought there was a little conversation about Point Loma Avenue. So I thought that was going to be on the agenda. So maybe just next month we can talk about Point Loma Avenue. There were community residents that were talking about stop sign at the top at Alexandria. And I'd actually like to add Gazoo as another location. Not necessarily for stop signs, but for traffic calming. And I've gotten some word from the city about some potential different type of traffic calming techniques on that corridor. So possibly we can add it to next month's agenda.
Yes, if you can email me that, and then I can go ahead and add it. Apologies if you asked and it didn't make it.
Oh, I think it was a Margaret. I think a Margaret email came around and I thought, oh, okay, the community wants to talk about it. So I thought maybe it might be on the agenda. So just think we're aligning. So we'll just maybe table it and just, or at least get it on the agenda for next month.
Okay. All right. And then I did want to introduce everyone to Delana. She's joined us. She's a member of the Sunset Cliffs Natural Park Council. She's a retired police officer, and she has expressed interest in wanting to come join the Traffic and Transportation Subcommittee meeting. So she just popped in to say hi. I'd like, if you wanted to introduce yourself real briefly, just make a quick intro to the group.
Hi, Delana. I'm Angela Vetter.
On mute. Yeah.
We have Paul Grimes. We have Matt, Nicole, and then Delana, did you want to share anything about yourself?
Just that I'm happy to be here. I've lived in the community since the 50s, so probably at least as long as most of you or longer. Grew up out here, went to the local schools. As you said, on the police department for 30 years, and I'm an avid bicycle rider. I ride several hundred miles a week throughout the county, city and county. So I have lots of opinions.
Well,
I'll just welcome to Delana. I've known her for years. She used to sit we used to talk about District 2 bicycle improvements. So great to see you, Delana. Welcome to the meeting.
Thank you.
Mandy, can I make another non-agenda comment? Did I miss that, or can I?
Oh, sure. You can speak. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know if I mentioned it via email or something, but do we not get notices when they're going to put stop signs up? Because they're putting one up on Talbot and I think it's Concord. They have signs saying they'll be installed within 2 weeks.
I have not received anything. Typically, I do get. I did receive one from Gary about. Over off of the 5-way stop over in Sunset Cliffs. I can't think of the the name right now, but typically they do send them, but I have not seen anything about Talbot and at all.
Yeah, I don't know. It just sort of popped up and people were talking about it on next door, and I don't think anybody knew it was going to happen. There was discussion that there were like 3 accidents within the last several years there, but it appeared that maybe one of them could have been because of a lack of a stop sign. Another one was a car that just, sideswiped somebody, and another one was I think a motorcycle that lost control. And most people I saw were opposed to it.
That is
I guess
interesting.
it'd be nice-
I'll have to look. You said that's off of Talbot and Concord?
Talbot, and I believe it's Concord. It's up on the top of the hill on the way down. They installed a flashing speed sign for the downhill people a couple of streets up from there about 2 years ago or more, and with a warning of to hold your speed down. So I think they're trying to cut the speed down in that area. Of course, going up, it's going to probably create additional noise when people restart their vehicles going uphill.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you for bringing that, Paul. I can reach out to Gary Pence and ask him about that, and then I can forward whatever he comes back with to the entire group for that. Okay, so Delana, the way this will work is I have to submit your application for approval, and because of our communication with each other, it came after the agenda was posted. So what we'll do is we'll add it as an action item for next month, and then we'll vote on it with the main board following that next meeting. So it'll be at the following board meetings, which will either take place in July or in August. And then you will then become an official community member once you get that approval. So I just wanted to inform you of that process, and you're more than welcome to participate in any of our other subcommittees as well. So without further ado, then I'd like to move forward to our first action item, which is the letter of support for the Bicycle Boulevard. I'm going to go ahead and put on my share screen. Last meeting, we did discuss this very thoroughly, and it just got sent back to the committee. One of the inputs that came from the main board is that they'd like to see a map with the designation so that they can kind of understand what they're voting. We kind of provided them with a long form paragraph that was very descriptive, but Nicole Burgess has provided that. So basically, I'm going to screen share. The letter stays the same. All I've done is added an enclosure. Nicole provided me with a map. We're going to pretty it up before the next meeting. And so this is just, again, a rough draft. You'll get the concept of it, but that's where we're at currently with it. So I wanted to share that with everyone. Go ahead and read through it and get familiar, and then we can go, I can show you the map that Nicole prepared.
And as Mandy mentioned, I did prepare a map, but it was basically a map that I printed out and then drew on. So if anybody has technical abilities to create a nice professional looking map, that would be appreciated. That's what I've got to work with right now. So.
Perfect. Sorry about that. Let me know when I can move on to the map that Nicole's prepared. I took a screenshot and I can share that with the group.
So I don't know how to create the most professional looking maps, but I was able to go into Google Map and make this route. So anyone can pull that up, and you could either like screen capture that, or I also was able to print it off as a PDF.
Right. So go ahead. And
I just put the link in the chat.
So can everyone see that?
Yes.
Yes, I can see it.
Can you see the screen share? Okay. All right. So here's the map that she's provided. And then just to be clear, Nicole, the unsolid,
dashed.
The dash, thank you. The dash lines, is that the secondary, the option?
Yeah, that's like complete evergreen.
Okay,
And so I kind of circled it like a roundabout. So, you know, we can include one, like we can include, I don't see my map up. Do you guys see my map?
No.
Oh, you
I don't-
do?
I don't see Nicole's map up.
I
oh,
don't
you
either.
can't, okay, hold on one
They're
second.
rolled in.
Colleen did the link that Matt shared.
Hold on one second.
Yeah, Nicole's map has some extra information I haven't been able to figure out how to easily put on the Google map.
Okay, hold on one second. I'm trying to. I'm gonna stop the share and then go back into it. All right. All right, now can you see it?
Mhm.
Correct.
Okay,
So we come out Lanning, turn a left on Rosecrans, make a right on Poe, turn left on Locust, and we go out to Nimitz. When Nimitz gets done, Evergreen is definitely an area of concern, has been a conversation piece for many years. Hopefully that Evergreen can continue, you know, that would be a pedestrian bikeway through there. So take Newell up to Evergreen. But currently that's not like super feasible. So that's kind of, you know, second phase, I guess.
awesome. I really think it's very clear. I think it's what the board has asked for. Matt, would you be willing to polish this up and transfer this to a map that you were that you can create? You were talking about earlier in the conversation.
Sort of. I mean, the link I posted and then the PDF I just uploaded are basically the solid green version of this. I don't have an easy way
Oh, here it is.
to add the dashed line.
Okay.
Is there,
I mean, I don't think that's required. I mean, if we can explain it, I think it was more the map than anything.
possibly
What is a dash line for again?
the dash line is a little bigger capital improvement project. So Evergreen currently doesn't go out there. Ideally, if you were having this route, that corner is super sketchy on a bike. So I actually go up Newell and pop out on the curb right now. But I take Locust right now just because I'm trying to advocate for this and go around that turn. But technically, safer conditions with a bicycle with a roundabout, if we ever got a roundabout at that intersection, then that would be a great access point from Evergreen across through Evergreen. And for those of you who don't know, Evergreen to the that direction of Nimitz, that dash line was we added it to our community plan as a bicycle boulevard. So about 2 years ago. So actually maybe like 4 years ago when it was resurfaced. So, and that basically means it's just a designated bicycle route that perhaps can get some traffic calming or some better improvements for people riding bikes. So that's the connectivity from in that, what is that, east-west connection?
Yeah.
And I
Thank
take,
you.
personally, this is my route. If I go from Liberty Station, from downtown San Diego, I cut through Liberty Station and I go up Nimitz to Soto Street home. And then if I'm going over to Point Loma area, Sunset Cliffs, I'll take Evergreen to Cannon Street. So just FYI, I'll take Locust and hop out onto Nimitz and make a left on Evergreen. So this is a well-used corridor for a lot of people.
Hey, Nicole, do you know if, is Evergreen the Speedway or is it Locust? They both don't have too many stop signs on them.
Well, we designated Evergreen as the bicycle route.
I'd say from personal experience that cars will speed on both of them, but Locust is wider, so that might have more of the speedway effect you talk about, Paul.
We also have only a one-way direction at the end towards Nimitz, so that reduces a little bit of that through traffic. So, yeah, that helps, and it gets you a little farther up. It's just Evergreen was kind of considered several years ago, and it beat out Locust. And just for those of you guys who, so Evergreen is actually scheduled for resurfacing as well. That section from Nimitz to, I believe, like Cannon or Talbot. And so because it was designated as a bicycle corridor 5 years ago, I'm hoping to, I'm hoping the city will evaluate that for some type of treatment. And the new treatment that the city is, has talked about at the last mobility board is advisory lanes. And we can put it on the agenda for next month. We may not have time to just get into it all, but if you Google advisory lanes, you can check them out. They're basically putting bike lanes on the 2 outsides of the corridor, so people have bike lanes. And then the middle lane has no markings, and cars are kind of more to navigate and use the bike lane to navigate. So it's a really great type of infrastructure that they're experimenting on. So more discussion about that. So just thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Again, Nicole, great work. As usual. I really appreciate all the effort that you've taken, and your passion for bikes is always here. I'd like to, if there's no further discussion, I'd like to make a motion to approve the letter with the provided map so that we can present to the board at next week's meeting for approval.
I'll second.
Is there any discussion?
I just might say that we just include both maps, like I think we can get a technical, if we're not able to show the designated routes specifically, I think sometimes 2 different visuals, people might look at them differently. So I don't think there's any harm in sharing both maps.
I agree. Let's make sure that we're very clear with what we're wanting to designate, and we'll include both maps in that for sure. All right, so I've got Angela seconding. If we'd like to go for a vote, all in favor, raise your hand. All right, unanimous. Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Me too. And then Angela. Okay, awesome. All right, thank you. All right, our next action item is we talked about the budget items that we wanted to really focus on regarding traffic and transportation. Our top priority for the peninsula. I asked last month if there was anything that was high priority. Is there a list that you wanted to provide, any of you, as far as what you felt needed to take the highest priority with our budget request? And this is something, if we don't have all that information, we can table it again and discuss it at a future meeting if we're not prepared for this today.
Thanks, Mandy, for keeping this on the radar. And I think we do a couple months keep discussing this. I think in the fall is really when they're going to want to hear from us. But on that, and I just think, West Point Loma Boulevard is definitely on the radar. But I will say on that note, I did see some updates that it is going to be bundled in some resurfacing projects. So that one should be coming, this year.
Okay.
So that would be one of my, I guess, one of those priorities, right? And then this.
So the completion of the West Point Loma Boulevard bike lanes?
Correct.
Okay.
But I'm hoping to be done this year and won't need to be going into next year.
Okay.
So.
Cole, I have a quick question. I walk frequently on West Point Loma Boulevard to, get around, and I don't see it being used very often. Is it just because you think it hasn't been completed?
Yeah, it's deadly. It's so scary. It's one of the scariest corridors for me to ride. I absolutely hate it.
Okay,
but
I was just wondering because I'll see one person maybe out of 3 days using it. So
also say that there is visibility is often difficult when you're driving fast down a corridor. Sometimes you don't actually see when you're out there. You were saying your walk though, so never mind. I'm not going to say that. So never mind. Sorry.
Yeah, I walk it as well.
think
and I don't see very many people riding bikes on either section with the new lanes or not. And I assume that hopefully if the new ones go in, that there'll be some through traffic because I mean, I've seen in the past, the only people riding bikes seem like homeless people, and they're sometimes on the sidewalk or they're running the wrong direction. There's also been a problem with street sweeping, keeping them clean because those posts they put in do not allow a normal street sweeper to get down there. So especially where across from the ice cream place or whatever it is, there's some trees there that really drop a lot, and they don't seem to get cleaned. And especially the same thing happens over on Formosa. It's just a trash dump going up and down that bike lane. I don't know what the problem would be, except I think they chose the wrong trees on the school side of Formosa there.
I was going to say, for me, it's probably time of day dependent. Like there's sometimes a day where I don't see other cyclists, but other times where like I'll pass a handful just between my house and like Barron's.
Mhm. I do see people utilizing those bike lanes. I have to say the improvement to the streets, the one takeaway, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but just that West Point Loma Boulevard right in front of the grocery outlet, the front of that used to be taken over by a lot of vans and vehicles, and it wasn't well kept. And it just really has cleared up the visibility along the street there. And I really am grateful for that. So Nicole, we can continue. I'll put that as number one, because that's something that, and then going forward, if there's any way that we can advocate and push the city to complete that, please let me know how we can best support that. And then going forward, any others? Do you have any to add?
I'd like to make a comment about the parking there. Yeah, the parking was heavily used, and I was very concerned that we were going to have a real shortage of parking in the area. And I actually one night, I don't know, like 8 or 9 or 10 o'clock, went around and did a entire survey of how many spaces were available, going all the way down like to Formosa to Warden Street, all the way down Bob, on the other side of the slough, all the way up into that area around Correa. And there were like maybe like 5 spaces in the entire area that were available, unless you were over on, I forget the name of the street, but the one that's on the backside of, what's the name of it? The senior facility behind a grocery outlet. There were some spaces there, but I have a feeling that for a while there was an apartment complex that was being redone, which I think is repopulated. But I'm hoping when the pandemic's over, it doesn't get worse again, which could be. I don't know what's going on with vehicles at this point with the pandemic still, I guess, going on.
You know, I have heard in Ocean Beach, there has been talk of, the vanners showing up, and, even in our, like in my neighborhood along Formosa, we have the rotation of people parking and kind of going through the rigmarole. They're there for so many days, and they move their vehicle, or they'll be gone for a couple months and kind of find their way back. So you're right, Paul, as we open up, we're going to have to be mindful, because the city has changed our requirements for parking, the impact, along with just, people coming out and wanting to make up for lost time. We'll have to be mindful and be aware of any parking issues that our community is experiencing.
Hopefully the city will start enforcing. For a while, they weren't enforcing anything. And, so there were a lot of transient almost type parking, especially like on Pacific Highway down by the 8 along down there underneath the viaduct to the freeway. There's several cars parked there all the time, and I talked to the police. They'd come by and talk to them, but they're still there. I mean, I guess they're going to be somewhere. I noticed the other day, it was down by Goodwill, and there were people like camped out right on the sidewalk next to Goodwill on whatever that side street is there. So yeah. We're getting more homeless. I don't know what we can do about it, but it also goes across into some transient vehicles. Just too bad.
Yeah, it is. I have been noticing that there has been an uptick in the homelessness. So again, we'll just have to continue to keep our eyes open for opportunities to help support the community with any parking issues, or if there's, an influx of banners having, like you said, parking enforcement and police enforcement. So looking at the action items, I have the budget. I've listed just the completion of West Point Loma Boulevard, the bike lanes at this point. That'll be our first priority. Again, this is going to be a continuing discussion. So if there's items that you'd like to see addressed, again, have these ready for us to make recommendations to the city. So moving forward to the informational items discussion. At the last meeting, we discussed our existing list of transportation items of interest. And, we had like 4 or 5 pages. So this last month, I created a spreadsheet with all of the projects that were on those lists. And I'm going to email everyone a shared drive for us to complete these lists, because Matt and Nicole had a really good, just going through these lists of what they are. And even as I went through some of them, some of them are really like opinions, like Rosecrans is the worst. So we're all aware of that. That might not be an actual, traffic issue, but some of the items that I found, there's a total of 60. Again, we have to go through. I'd like to get some help from a few of you to go into the drive. I can email it all to you so that we can go in and look at each individual line item and determine, hey, is this something that's been completed by the city? Does it still need to be completed? If it does need to be completed, is it something that we need to do, or is it quick get it done requests that we can submit? And so in the event with the spreadsheet, and I'll share it with y'all, I'd like to get a few volunteers to go through. I'm thinking 3 to 4 volunteers. We each get 15 items. We go through each of those items, and then we determine where we are with those requests. And if they can make complete a Get It Done app, save the report number to put in the spreadsheet, and then list the date. And then if you're not sure if they've been completed or not, put a question mark, and we can create a list and ask Gary Pence, our contact at the city. So with that, I'd like to ask some volunteers to help me with going through the list. Again, just looking at the request. Has it been completed? Yes, no. If not, can it be submitted through a Get It Done? If so, submit the Get It Done, put the report number, and complete the Excel spreadsheet. And then at the next meeting, we can kind of go through our work and maybe categorize them. Because as I started going through the list, some of them looked like, oh, hey, this is all Rosecrans, or this is over here by the schools. This is all for Loma Portal. As you kind of look through the list, you can see some of the requests can kind of be lumped together. So with a show of hands, anyone interested in helping go through? All right, so I've got four of us right now. I can take 15. So Paul, if you want to go with 1 through 15 on the Excel spreadsheet, I will email everyone that shared that shared drive on the committee, so you all can access it and view it, and it'll be updated in real time as we make those edits, and it'll be something that we can build on and go through and check off our list and get things done for our community and add new things. So Paul, I have you down for lines 1 through 15. Tina, can I get 16 through 30? And then Angela, 31 to 45, and I will take the final 46 through 60. I'll email you the drive, and then I'll include all the instructions, and then I'll list who I delegated to. And then if there are any questions, you're all welcome to contact me, reach out. if you have any questions about what the action needs to be done for that particular item, and then we can discuss it at next month's meeting, and then we can kind of build on that list and be like, all right, this is where we want to start our focus, and then we can kind of like prioritize those as a group. Does that sound good? Are there any questions regarding the process? Okay.
No, I think that's a good process. At some point, like you were saying, we probably should group them by either a type of problem or a location. And, you know, I was thinking maybe I would just try to rate the 15 that I have as which one was more important, but then
That's
I
a
think at some
great,
point we need to do that.
you know what, let's do that. So let's rate them. We'll rate the priority of ours, each individual list. In addition, so rate from 1 through 15 priority.
Yeah.
For priority.
I suppose if it's closed, you could just skip it, you know, if it's already been done.
And again, we can add, you know, next month or even after we get all this information, Paul, I could definitely use some help. Any inputs or any edits as we go into the drive and look at it. I'm open to any of those. So if you think like, hey, let's add another field to organize them, I would totally appreciate any and all edits and things of that nature. So, all right. So I think that's all for this information item. Did you have something, Nicole?
Yeah, thank you. I just want to say thank you all to you guys for researching them and looking into them. You did kind of bring up Rosecrans as one of those items, and I think a lot of them are going to tag onto that. You know, that's going to be an issue.
Mhm.
So this is a thought. Rosecrans could actually kind of go in your prior discussion. And as you recall, the military had a multimodal access grant study, and Rosecrans as a multimodal corridor ranked up fairly high.
Mhm.
Perhaps we want to actually just take that as a sooner and maybe write a letter from the Peninsula to Sandag Military Working Group and Sandag to request that this becomes prioritized in their RTP, you know.
I would agree with that. And this is going to tie into another item that we have down the way because of I'm on a call. Sorry. In the future, we have, hold on one moment, please. I'm on a call. Okay, please be quiet. Thank you. Sorry. There's been a few fatalities on Rosecrans and a lot of traffic issues. And I think if they came in with Sandag, that would address a lot of those issues. So I would agree with that.
So maybe just as a note, if Rosecrans comes up, just know that maybe it's a bigger item chunk bucket, right? So
yes, I would do that. If you do have anything, I can go through there afterwards, and let's after we complete the list, anything for Rosecrans needs to be addressed to the military working group. How about this? Everyone can just, if you see anything regarding Rosecrans, just mark in the notes, put Rosecrans, so that we can add that to our list of demands. So, all right. And notes. And then Nicole, we can talk about a letter. We can talk about that next month, kind of see where we're at, and then we can build on that. All right. I think that's it for that item. Let me just go back to, okay. 1, 2, 3, okay. B and C, we had status updates of a resurfacing project on Nimitz and new striping plans. And then the status update of the project on West Point Loma Boulevard from Nimitz to Sports Arena. So on B, did you want me to share the email that Everett replied with regarding the striping plans? Or did he really give anything more, Nicole, after that?
No, he didn't give anything more. And I think I kind of updated the group at the beginning of the meeting. Sorry. I didn't.
Yeah,
say
no
how-
worries, no worries. And then is there any more updates? Again, we've already discussed West Point Loma Boulevard. And then the Bacon Street, oh, that's one thing we needed to share. I'm sure a few of you have heard of this, but at the opening of Robb Field, there is a roundabout going in at Bacon and West Point Loma Boulevard. So I want to let you all know that that is on track. And there's a moratorium that the city has, a summer moratorium on all construction. So basically from Memorial Day to Labor Day, no construction. So come this fall, you'll start seeing some construction going on at the opening of Robb Field. So I did want to let you all know about that. So with that, we've actually kind of gotten through most of our items. We have one more item. And again, there has been a lot of discussion on Nextdoor in the news about Rosecrans and the Roseville neighborhood. And I wanted to let you all know that the city is currently working on trying to find a solution for Rosecrans. But I would like us to have an opportunity to provide the city with what mitigations we feel would be appropriate as well. So I think in addition to what Nicole mentioned earlier regarding Rosecrans and the already known traffic issues there, that would be helpful in getting the traffic safety mitigations needed to keep the community safe. Is there has been discussion, and I will reach out to Monique. She did state that the city is aware of all of the issues and they are actively looking at that location. So I will reach out to her and ask to see where they're at and if there's any opportunities for us to provide some input or give approvals for some of those mitigations. But I really do think that this, along with what Nicole had mentioned earlier with regards to the Sandag Military Working Group, if we create a letter requesting help at this location, it might expedite it sooner than later. Is there any discussion about Rosecrans that anyone wanted to share?
Just, clarifying, Mandy, thank you for that update. I kept hearing location. Rosecrans is a dangerous corridor. So they really should the entire corridor. But it's a long corridor. So it'll be probably in phases, but yeah.
Thank you. I'm still learning all the lingo for sure. It's never ending.
You say Monique said we're looking at stuff to do at that location.
Yeah, sorry, along Rosecrans, basically.
Yeah.
So there's several opportunities there.
Okay.
So I can follow up with her to find out where the city's at with that. And then going forward next month, when we come back, we'll see how many of the items that are on our list have to do with Rosecrans. And then we can start building up a list for that corridor so that we can just improve the safety.
Yeah, thanks.
I think it was last year we were talking about some type of flashing beacons to go so you could go from one side of Rosecrans all the way down and across Scott Street as well, somewhere down by the Point Loma Seafoods. And I don't know where that went at this point, or if that's really safe.
Yeah, when we go through the list, you'll start seeing that was one of the actual items that I data entered. Scott Street, right by Point Loma Seafood, is quite dangerous, with people, especially around lunchtime, trying to get in and out of those businesses. So it is a known issue. And really, I just wanted to put some more action, like I said, with these lists, kind of get a better idea of where we're at with our requests and make sure that if there are some opportunities, we've addressed them, that they're not just sitting on this list waiting to be addressed. Yes, Matt?
Yeah, about that we want to try to write up in this next month and review at the next meeting, or do we want to take time in July to kind of hash out what points we want to talk about in this letter? You know, you mentioned some of the discussion from other places like next door. You know, I think if there's something, you know, maybe we could start compiling what are some of the safety data that we have available about accidents, like, you know, car accidents, pedestrian, bicyclist, you know, whatever categories. Yeah, so we could start compiling it, you know, about Rosecrans to have that discussion next time. And then as a side idea, just off the top of my head, because of that, it might make sense for us to come up with like a working document, like a spreadsheet where we keep track of all these traffic accidents and fatalities for our community. I don't know if there's an easy accessible one, but just something we could have ready to reference if we do come up with letters like this.
I like that. Nicole, would you be aware of any lists that the city would be, like maybe Vision Zero? Would they hold those tallies by neighborhood for any fatalities?
That's actually why I raised my hand. Matt reminded me. So Vision Zero website, City of San Diego Vision Zero website just launched. They showed it at the mobility board. I have to be honest, I have not actually looked at it. So, but you can go on specifically to your neighborhood. You can specifically look at what kind of accident mode, what walking, biking, car, dates, everything. So I suggest looking at the city's website, Vision Zero.
I like the idea of what Matt's saying again, you know, kind of just educate the community, one, where the city's at, and also, you know, with the information, sometimes, you know, it can incense people to take action if they knew, you know, the amount of the incidents that were happening in, you know, our community. So what is it, just Vision Zero? Do you have the, what is the website?
Just look Vision Zero San Diego.
Okay.
Google Vision, be under the City of San Diego website and then search Vision Zero. And it's the map, the interactive map that you can engage in. Elena,
I was just gonna make a couple of comments. Number one, me personally, I don't do a whole lot of stuff on the internet, so I'm really not good at doing those things. I think as far as traffic statistics, you should also be able to go through either city engineers, traffic engineering should have a compilation. And the kind of bummer is the police department, and we only take official reports on injury accidents, hit and runs, or impaired driver accidents. So anything that is considered a property damage only is not necessarily going to be a part of statistics. So I don't know how we'd compile a really accurate list, but I just wanted to add those comments.
Thank you for that information, Delana. Thank you. Yeah. I like, let's talk more about that, but back to your original thing, the Rosecrans thing, that's not going to be decided on next meeting. That's going to kind of begin the beginning process. So again, there's nothing here that's like needing to be pushed out. There's no rush on any of these items. And with the main board, I'd rather take more time and talk it over and collaborate as a group so that when we do take these up to the main board, there's not any confusion. So I appreciate all of your inputs, everyone, again. So we'll move forward. Again, with the Rosecrans, we're going to start, you know, filing all these traffic list items in our Excel spreadsheet and kind of get them in groups so that we can start addressing them. And then our next meeting will be in July. It will be July 13th. Does that, I know the holiday is the weekend before that, so I don't think it will be an issue. Is there going to be an issue for anyone to attend?
As long as the meeting is Zoom, I should be able to attend it. As I let you know, Mandy, my my partner and I have a place up in Tahoe and we come and go there kind of at free will, but our plan is to be gone from the end of June through the middle of July. So on Zoom, I will gladly attend the meeting. If it's in person, I won't be in town.
Yeah, we do plan on doing Zoom meetings. And again, with absences, we do try to make quorum with especially the board members, but the community members, you do have a little bit more leeway. So if you've got to fulfill your promises to your loved ones, I totally get it. If you can't make it, I understand. So I'll be sure to send everyone out the meeting information, and we will have it on July 13th at 6 p.m. So with that, I do need to get going. Is there anything else before we end this meeting? Paul?
I don't know if you have the time, but I was over on 4th Avenue and saw some really bizarre stuff they're doing with putting medians in the middle of the street. And I assume that they're not planning something like that over in our area. If you screen share, you can see 2 or 3 photos. I'm shaking my head wondering what the heck they're even doing.
Yeah, do you want to share them?
Yeah, if
That's
I
called
can.
Early Action Bike Project on 4th and
Those
5th.
disabled, right now it says I can't do it.
It's the protected bikeways.
Let me see if I can.
It's not really all bikeways. It appears to me to be protecting, hold on a second, let me get my, right here.
These are quite large and we've questioned
Yeah,
ourselves.
these things that, like this thing here, you go, what the heck is that? It's some little buffer thing. And then like this one's really kind of bizarre, where somebody, is going to ruin their transmission when they pull out, and I don't know what's going on there, if that's a gutter to move water or what it is, that one on the right. And there's another one like that. There were several like that. My position is that I think we could do a heck of a lot more bike lanes with the money if we don't spend that kind of money on these infrastructure kind of things. One of them, there was this turn here down here where my pointer is. There was another one like that. There's no rounded curve or anything. And if you're trying to make a right turn to go into the hospital on, I forget what street it is, everybody's going to run over that corner because you have to go into the middle of the street to come back around. I don't think that's for bicycles. It seems to me like it might be pedestrian, but it just looks funny to me. And I don't know if anybody would know like why this one down here, what this little hump deal is with the red zone. And one of them, there was a car parked over the top of it, or it was a truck. It's just fun.
I saw the same thing when I was downtown, and I was thinking, what were they thinking of when they decided to do that?
Yeah, it's kind of.
So that's a SENDAG bike project. And so that's SENDAG implementing that protection, protected bikeway is what they are
Yeah,
calling
it just didn't look like some of it was. There was one area where they had a bike lane heading on the left side of the street on a one-way street. And then towards the corner, there was a small little, like a curb that stuck up and this gutter that's about 3 feet wide. What is it for a biker who's going to make a left turn? Because the bike lane continued straight. And I'm going, what the heck is this thing here for? It just doesn't make any sense, and it's got to be expensive. But,
My one complaint of it is that the city won't allow in some of the roundabouts and some of the curb extensions is what they call them. They won't let any shrubbery trees, shade trees in there because of maintenance issues. And so I think that's disappointing. They are all concrete and there are some wide slabs, but that is a SENDAG bike project. Clarify.
okay.
Well, that's
No
good to know.
problem.
Thank you for bringing that to our attention, Paul. I know that the city does sometimes put more permanent things, with traffic calming or for protection of, the cyclists, but it's something that we can look into if it's of concern.
And as a cyclist, I'll tell you most of that stuff, as Paul was just mentioning, really all it does is create problems because it narrows something that shouldn't be narrow and gives cyclists no place to go to get out of the way.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Thank you for bringing that to our attention. Paul, is there any way, did you want to bring this up to Sandag, or did you want me to pursue this?
I don't know who I'd contact. I mean, if someone knows who to contact, I would be interested in just trying to find out. I'd like an explanation on a couple of them to see what the heck they're intended to do, because some of them I'm just shaking my head going, you know, some guy's going to drive his car right over the top of it. I mean, why do you have a protected bike lane where it's right next to a parking spot? I mean, there's no protection for anybody there, unless it's water coming down the street, which could be. I don't know.
I think a lot of it is water, capturing the water and making sure.
It is downhill.
Mhm. And then I will say that currently the project is incomplete, so there's a lot of illegally parked cars in the actual bike facility. So it's really misleading. You're like, where? And it's awful to ride through right now because there is no protection. There is no, you have to share a lane with two, you know, the cars are not happy. They're like, wait, get over there. And you can't complete. So I'm hoping we
I
can be.
actually have some contacts information for Sandex, so I'll send that to you on the email. I just have to go look it
Great.
up.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Tina.
And yeah, patients might hopefully be a good project.
All right. Well, I do have to get going. It is 7 o'clock. If there's nothing more, I will end the call and I will see you all at the next board meeting.
Thank you, man.
Take care.
Nice
everyone.
Video.